All right, folks, welcome to According to Sam. This is episode 233. Thank you for watching. We finally hit the $35 trillion mark on the national debt today. If you want to celebrate, yay, we hit 35 trillion. It looks like we're adding $1 trillion to our national debt every 3 or 4 months. I covered this in a podcast, I guess a few months ago after we tripped 34 trillion, but we have tripped 35 trillion now. And this is a huge problem, people. This is our biggest national security threat right here is our national debt. If you understand how this works, the interest on our debt alone, it exceeds our military budget. We have certain things like the interest on the debt, certain liabilities that have to be funded. The only place where you can really make cuts to our budget is if you understand the dozen or so appropriations that make up the budget, is the discretionary spending and military. And I don't see how we tackled this and bring this down. But if you've been watching or listening to my podcasts for some time, you know that this is not a mistake. I talk about this and have talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast about this document, this secret document that was circulated in the Clinton administration in the year 2000, in his last year. And the document, as you see here, was called Life After Debt. And I've talked about this document many times about how the Clinton administration, Larry Summers, who was his Treasury Secretary in those last months, Alan Greenspan, who was the head of the Federal Reserve. In this document, this secret document, which was made public through a FOIA request in 2012, in this document, they identified those men that I just mentioned and more in the Clinton administration, identified the fact that we were projecting that the United States was going to be completely debt-free at the rate that we were going in what I call Pax Americana in the year 2000, that we were passing budgets, we had budget surpluses, the tax revenues were high, we were paying off debt, and this document, Life After Debt, predicted that we were going to be completely debt-free by 2012 at the rate we were going, and it was identified as a crisis. It was a crisis for these people that the United States was going to be debt-free. So this is all by design. This is by design, but it's a huge problem. And people who don't believe that this is a problem, who believe in foolish economic ideas like modern monetary theory, they're going to destroy this country. And this is going to destroy this country. So in this podcast, I am going to talk about Kamala Harris, but in the last podcast, I said that I wasn't going to do a deep dive into her and into her record and who this woman is until they nominate her. And that's still true. I'm not going to do that type of podcast. But what I like to pride myself in doing in this podcast is whatever the media is gaslighting you on at any given time, you can expect that I'm going to cover that in this podcast, expose the propaganda, expose the gaslighting that's going on. And I have to expose this gaslighting, this AstroTurf, this is like Fire Festival, Coney 2012 type of propaganda and gaslighting that is going on around this woman, Kamala Harris. So we're going to talk about Kamala Harris from that aspect today. What's going on with this AstroTurf, this gaslighting, this propaganda, trying to, create this, excitement around her. And it's complete manufactured. This is so manufactured, and that's what I want to talk about in this podcast today. Her campaign slogan is one of the dumbest campaign slogans that I've ever heard. Now, we're going to look at these are the two major party candidates that are running on two different, completely antithetical campaign slogans. One of them is running on Make America Great Again, going back to when America is great, going back. And the other one is running on this campaign slogan, We're Not Going Back. Now, this is the dumbest campaign slogan that I have ever heard. We are not going back, especially in a change election. But she's the most liberal, the most progressive, almost socialist candidate that we would have ever had run for president. So we're not going back. And then the other very communist slogan that they were using during the Obama administration, forward. We're not going back. We're going forward. That's the way these progressives think. So this is her campaign slogan. And I said that I think that this is the dumbest campaign slogan. We're not going back is the dumbest campaign slogan I've ever heard. We're not going back to what? Secure borders, affordable housing, cheap groceries and fuel, law and order. We're not going back to peace in the world. I mean, what are you talking about that we're not going back? This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But like I said, she's the most progressive, the most liberal, and she is to the left of Bernie Sanders. And we're not going to go into her record in this podcast, but I just want you to listen to this interview she did on 60 Minutes 3 years ago.
You're very different in the policies that you've supported in the past. You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Somebody said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage. But
yeah, well, actually, the nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator. You supported the Green New Deal. You supported Medicare for all. You've supported legalizing.
All right, so we're not going to get into her record in this podcast, but that GovTrack, a nonpartisan organization, rated her when she was in the Senate with Bernie Sanders, rated her the most liberal senator in the Senate, to the left of Bernie Sanders. So she's a full-on progressive. That's why she's running a campaign on forward. We're not going back. We're going forward down the same road. The only problem is that the road that we're headed down right now, 65% of Americans say that that's the wrong direction. That's the problem with we're not going back and we're going forward, is that 65% of the country, and that's actually down. I've seen it. I mean, as I'm going to show you here, I've seen polls as high as 7 in 10 Americans believe the country is headed down the wrong direction, that we're going down, we're going forward. We're not going back down the wrong track, down the wrong direction. Majority of American voters say the country is headed in the wrong direction. This is a single poll. Center Square, a new poll finds that 2/3 of Americans believe the country is headed in the wrong directions. And this is the Center Square Voters Voice poll. 65%, 24% say that we're headed in the right direction. This is a single poll, but if you notice here on Real Clear Politics, and if you know Real Clear Politics, they do an average of mini polls. And like I've said, you can see here, 70% wrong direction, 71% wrong direction. So an average of mini polls on Real Clear Politics shows exactly what that single poll showed. I can't expand it, but right here, there it is. 65%. 65% right here of the country say that we're going down the wrong direction. So Kamala Harris is saying that we're going forward. We're not going back. We're going down the same path that we're going down, and we're not going back. We're not going back to affordable housing anymore. We're not going back to secure borders. We're not going back to cheap fuel and cheap groceries. We're not going back. We're going forward in the wrong direction, according to 60%, 65% of the country. I just wanted to read this quote from C.S. Lewis, which I think that it's very appropriate to this campaign slogan that Kamala Harris has, that we're not going back, and the fact that she is the most progressive candidate, liberal candidate that we have ever had. C.S. Lewis says, progress means getting nearer to the place that you want to be. And if you have taken a wrong turn, and then to go forward does not get you any nearer. If you are on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive. I love that quote by C.S. Lewis, because if 65% say that we're on the wrong road, then the most progressive thing to do would be to turn back, to go back. Let's make America great again. It's just, the two campaign slogans, it's like a no-brainer, people. It's like a no-brainer. So all of this Coney 2012 Fire Festival hype that's going on around Kamala Harris, they want to make it look like it's grassroots, but nothing could be further from the truth. This is 100% AstroTurf, as I'm going to show you. There's nothing grassroots about it. It's Fire Festival propaganda, Coney 2012. That's what you see going on here. I want you to listen to what Chuck Schumer says here, though.
So now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris.
So from the grassroots bottom up, who made the decision for Joe Biden to drop out? Did that decision come from the grassroots bottom up? Joe Biden, he ran in the primaries. He got all those votes, won all those delegates. You're telling me that this is from the grassroots bottom up? But that's what they want to paint this as. They want to paint this Coney 2012 Fire Festival type of hype, and want to make it seem like it's grassroots, from the grassroots. But nothing could be further from the truth, as you're getting ready to see. I want you to take a listen to what Ron DeSantis says here. He was on the Fox Maria Bartoloma program this weekend. Take a listen.
They tried to do the basement for 3.5 years, and it was clear after that debate that was not going to happen. So the media really worked hard to push Biden out. And now what you see is all the arteries of the left, the corporate media, Hollywood, academia, they're using all the king's horses and all the king's men to try to put the Democratic Party back together again. And they have to whitewash Harris's background to be able to make her palpable to the American people. But I think we've all seen her. I mean, she's incredibly vapid, even more incredibly liberal, and she doesn't have any accomplishments. In fact, she owns all the policies of the Biden-Harris administration. She owns the border. She owns the inflation. She was there cheerleading that every day for the last 3.5 years. So I don't think it's going to work, but make no mistake about it. You are in for 100 days of massive gaslighting from the corporate press. They're already taking down. There was a website where she was the most liberal senator, GovTrack. They took that down. They're whitewashing things from her past. That's going to continue, and they're going to try to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people.
Well, I mean, so he is absolutely right. That's what's going on. This gaslighting that's going on. They're trying to memory hole her entire record. They are taking down the GovTrack website. I didn't even know that they had taken that down until DeSantis says this. But I mean, they rated her the most liberal senator. I mean, you can take it down all you want. There's tons of reports and videos of anchors talking about that. I mean, how are you going to memory hold that? It's ridiculous that what they're trying to do. They're banning books. There's a book that was written by her that got banned off of Amazon. I wish I had the author. He's been around doing tons of interviews talking about this book. But they're banning books. They're doing everything to scrub her record so they can gaslight the American people and create this, it's insane what's going on. Absolutely insane what is going on. And it's the same campaign. She's basically Hillary Clinton. She's basically a Indian version of Hillary Clinton. It's the exact same campaign. There's no reason to vote for me. Vote for me because I'm a woman. That it's time for a woman president. That if women were ruling the world, that the world would be this much better place. Listen, people. I mean, we've had women leaders before. You want to talk about the Tudor women or the Saxe, Coburg, Gotha, Windsor women that have run countries? They're not any better than men. I'm sorry, they're not. And this is ridiculous. But this is what the whole campaign is. I had this clip. I didn't know if I was going to play it, but might as well play it while I'm explaining what this campaign is that they are trying to present to you with Kamala Harris. It has no substance at all. She's done nothing. She has no accomplishments. The only thing that they're selling to people is that it's time to put a woman in office, that a woman is going to be better than a man. Let's vote for a woman. I've been seeing all these videos from people saying that this is your second chance. You messed up and didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, and this is your second chance to come out and support a woman. It doesn't matter who this woman is or what her record is or what her competency is. Just that she's got a vagina. That's it. This is Cassidy Hutchinson. She was on The View. I guess this was about a year ago. And Cassidy Hutchinson worked in the Trump White House, and she, along with 3 other women from the Trump White House, testified to the January 6th commission, and they were all lauded as heroes. All of these women. The other one is one of the co-hosts here on The View. This one, what's her name? Alyssa Farah Griffin. She was the other one. And there's another one who's here on the. So these 3 women from the Trump administration testified to the January 6th commission, and they were lauded as heroes. This one absolutely lied. She's the one who testified that Trump was reaching for the steering wheel and, all angry because they wouldn't take him to the rally. Absolutely lied under oath. But anyway, I want you to listen to what she says here in this interview on The View.
So, Cass, you chose to speak out at risk of your career, your community, even your life, the threats that you received. And something that has struck me in the kind of post-Trump era, may that be here soon, is it's women that are speaking out, whether it was Liz Cheney, whether it was you. Sarah Matthews is in our audience, also testified before Congress against Donald Trump. Why is it that so many men didn't step forward, but it seems to consistently be women telling the truth about it?
Excuse me. Sorry.
I can't speak to the psyche of the men who have either willingly defied their own subpoenas or have had convenient lapses of memory throughout this process, but it does seem to me that the women are willing to step forward, and the women are the people who are willing to say enough. Like, we have to at some point say enough is enough. We have to. Men have been running America since our founding, and it's not going that well. So I think that having strong female voices,
America, the world,
we look at Congress. Congress is dominated by men too, and slowly that is becoming. The gender gap is closing a little bit, but we're still dominated by men. We have to ask ourselves why.
They're so scared to lose their jobs.
Why are men dominating Congress? Why are country, and I think that's the most important part, that our country since its founding has been dominated by men, and we need women in charge to change things. And if we get a woman in charge, she's going to change things. And so that's the mentality, and that's the campaign that they're running. They're running this very divisive campaign on lines of gender, but also lines of race. And that's all they have. That's why they're in this situation. It's all identity politics. It's the only thing they care about is identity politics and appealing to different groups. And quite frankly, as you're going to see in this podcast, that's hurting them. That's why they're in the situation that they're in. Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris. Everyone's calling her the DEI candidate. I mean, who made up the term DEI? That didn't come from the right. That came from the left. You guys made that up. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's your word or acronym, DEI. We're just applying it where it fits by saying DEI. But I've explained to you before that Joe Biden was looking at running with Gretchen Whitmer. That's who he wanted to run with in 2020. But it was the black community that came out, especially after Joe Biden went on the Charlemagne the God show and said, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. And all these black Democrats are like, oh, we're so offended. You have to pick a black woman. You have to pick a black woman. And they forced Joe Biden to pick a black woman. They forced it. They forced it. Let me prove that to you right here. So, I mean, the reason that they're in this situation is because of their identity politics, and everything's about demographics and groups, and they put everybody in these little groups, and that's why they're in the situation that they're in. If they had not put Kamala Harris on the ticket because of her race in 2020, then they would have a stronger backup for Joe Biden when he dropped out. But they picked Kamala Harris because of her race. Right here. What does that say? Pressure grows on Joe Biden to pick a black woman as his running mate. She wasn't chosen because of her accomplishments. Biden says that 4 black women are on his VP list, but won't commit to choosing one. Well, he did commit to choosing one. He was forced to. So that's why they're in this situation, because she was chosen because she is a black woman, or perceived to be a black woman, a woman of color. And that's why Joe Biden put her on the ticket. And quite frankly, that's why they are stuck with her now. And she is a horrible candidate. And they're trying to polish that turd, so to speak. They're trying to make her out into this really good candidate by using propaganda, Coney 2012, and Fire Festival type of propaganda. Now, what Governor DeSantis was saying is they're trying to memory hole her record, and they absolutely are memory holding her record, but they're also attacking memes, and they're attacking satirical videos that are put out about her, and saying that these satirical videos should be legal. This was very interesting because this guy, Mr. Reagan, created this satirical video based on a campaign ad that Kamala Harris put out. And it's funny. It's a parody. You know, it's completely protected by the First Amendment. But Gavin Newsom, the governor of my state, California, says manipulating a voice in an ad like this should be illegal. Why should it be illegal? It should be illegal for someone to impersonate someone. Or should it be illegal for someone to impersonate someone on Saturday Night Live? You're going to tell me that what's his name, the guy that would impersonate Trump on Saturday Night Live, should that be illegal? It's a manipulation. It's not manipulation. It's an impersonation. I don't know if this guy used AI or used one of the many women who are impersonating Kamala Harris's voice and her laugh. But Gavin Newsom says manipulating the voice in an ad like this should be illegal. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure it is. Well, that's not going stand up in the Supreme Court, which they're trying to, what Joe Biden's come out with this plan where he's, going to do something with the Supreme Court. I don't know if they're going to expand it or just, create some legislation to, the Supreme Court is a totally different branch of government. What these people are doing is very dangerous. But I want you to take a look at this ad so this ad, this parody Mr. Reagan made was retweeted by Elon Musk. And I've told you that Elon Musk has more followers on Twitter than anyone. And thank God for Elon Musk. This would be a totally different election season without him buying Twitter and the X platform and allowing free speech on this platform. It would be a much different election season. But he retweeted this parody, and that's what Gavin Newsom is responding to. He responded to it after Elon Musk retweeted. And these guys have been beefing for the past couple of weeks because Elon Musk said that he's leaving California because of this new law where schools don't have to alert parents if kids are transitioning, and Elon Musk has been beefing with Gavin Newsom. Anyway, so Gavin Newsom says that this is not free speech and it should be illegal. He's going to make it illegal to do a parody, to do satire on Kamala Harris. Take a look at this clip.
I, Kamala Harris, and your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant.
So I don't know that this is AI or, again, there's several different women that are impersonating her voice, which is, I guess very easy to do because there's so many women doing it. So I don't know if this is AI or an impersonator, but this is satire. This is parody. And if you're saying that this should be illegal, then you're saying that Saturday Night Live should be illegal. But that's who these people are. They're telling you that Trump is a dictator, that Trump is a fascist, but people like Gavin Newsom and people like Kamala Harris are the ones that are the true fascists. So part of this Coney 2012 Fire Festival propaganda is these group phone calls that have been going on ever since Joe Biden dropped out and Kamala Harris became the nominee. And it first started with 40,000 black women. Again, this is the party of segregation. They love segregating people. So it started with the black women and then black men. And now and then they did white women. And then today, I guess they got white men. So all these different segregated groups. Why not just do a call with Americans for Kamala Harris and all Americans come on if you support her? But no, it's black women for Kamala Harris, black men, white women, white men, gay people. It's all these little segregation groups because this is the party of segregation. So that's part of this AstroTurf that they're trying to get you and to convince you that this is grassroots. It's not grassroots. It's AstroTurf. But take a listen to this clip about all of this money that they're raising in these phone conversations that they're doing with these groups of people.
Okay, earlier this week, we brought you the news of how on Sunday night, after President Biden dropped out of the race, the activist group Win with Black Women literally almost broke Zoom, organizing a call with 44,000 people to make sure Kamala Harris wins the White House this November. In 24 hours, that one Zoom call raised more than $1.5 million for the Harris campaign. And at 44,000 people, the call was only about 1,000 people short of the world record for the biggest Zoom call ever. Now, the world record held for another 4 days, but it was broken last night. Last night, an event called White Women Answer the Call held their own Zoom to organize for Kamala Harris, inspired by Sunday's Win with Black Women call. That Zoom took the previous world record for biggest Zoom call and blew it out of the water. More than 160,000 people attended that Zoom call, and even more people watched the Zoom simulcast on other platforms. As of today, that Zoom has raised $8.5 million for the Harris campaign. And those two calls were not the only ones for Kamala Harris this week. On Monday, more than 20,000 people joined a Win with Black Men Zoom call for Harris. That call raised more than $1.3 million. On Wednesday, nearly 10,000 people joined a South Asian Women for Harris Zoom, raising more than $250,000.
South Asian? I didn't even know there was the South Asian Women for Harris.
On Thursday, another 20,000 people joined the human rights campaign's Out for Kamala Harris LGBTQ plus call. They raised more than $300,000.
It's crazy. So she's raising all this money on these calls. And that's part, again, of this AstroTurf. She's raised $200 million in the last week and that's evidence. This $200 million that she's raised is evidence of her grassroots appeal. It's evidence that she has mass appeal and all of this grassroots support because she raised $200 million and all these people are getting on these different calls. That's part of the propaganda that they want you to believe. But it's all propaganda, people, all propaganda. I just want you to notice this is the Black Men, Win with Black Men call that they did last week. I believe it was on Saturday, maybe. But I want you to notice down here at the bottom, what does that say? It says secureactblue.com donate. So all of these groups, I want you to understand, all of these different groups, the white men, black men, South Asian women, white women, all these different groups that were on these Zoom calls and supposedly support for Kamala Harris raising money, were all raising money through this group, Act Blue. Act Blue. What's up with Act Blue, people? What's up with Act Blue? Well, some citizen journalists like James O'Keefe, and there's been others that have been looking into this. They've been going around and they've been talking to people, and this is public information that you can see who's donating to Act Blue. And they've been going around talking to some of these people who, in their names, it says that they are donating all this money through Act Blue, but they're not actually the ones that are donating the money is what we're learning. And this is a fresh story, brand new. This story is going to be explosive. It's going to be everywhere on Twitter. I know they'll probably be talking about it on Fox and conservative networks. You probably won't hear much about it on CNN, MSNBC, CBS. And there probably won't be an investigation because the FEC is in charge of investigating things like this. And that's the Biden administration. I don't think anything will happen until hopefully if Trump wins. But this is what's going on, people. This is not grassroots at all. This is not bottom up. This is top down. Take a look at some of this.
There was a flurry of donations made in your name. About 20 donations. I don't think so. Have you ever donated to Act?
Check out her shirt. Racism must end. Love is love. Feminism. So, I mean, she is a donator to Act Blue. She may have donated once, but take a listen to how many times that donations were made in her name after she made a single donation.
Flurry of donations made in your name. About 20 donations. I don't think so. Have you ever donated to Act Blue?
Yeah.
Okay. These donations made, do they look familiar to you at all?
not necessarily.
We're with Elder Watch. We're kind of following up with people that are over 65 years old, that people are using their name and potential address to just make micro donations.
Just seeing that, like, we're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. That's kind of, people have been donating like 40-cent donations in your name. That's kind of why we're like, what's going on here?
That's odd. I have never.
I can't imagine, even though I make small donations, recently it's been, pretty difficult because finances are not very good.
So we go with the bigger donations, which are probably yours. You see like 500 there, 250, 100. Those probably aren't mine.
Those are not mine.
Because I really haven't given that many.
What do you think is like the biggest number you would have given? Like,
biggest number usually runs around $75.
So nothing like 500, 200, none of that?
No.
Oh gosh, okay.
So who's giving in these people's names to Act Blue? Everybody's donating through Act Blue, people. Act Blue. And all of these different calls, all these different groups have their own URL to Act Blue. That's how they're tracking the money. But who's donating all this money in these people's names?
Make a flurry of,
One would remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see there's a bunch of $100 donations in your name with this address and everything. Oh, well, it doesn't.
Jeez Louise.
Would you like to get a refund from those donations?
I would say so. I recently changed my credit card, and I would recognize it if it was like, oh my God.
So she's obviously, this is definitely a look at her t-shirt. She's wearing a t-shirt. She's just wearing a t-shirt around the house. I mean, this is one of their supporters for sure. I mean, but she didn't make all this, hundreds of dollars in donations to Act Blue, and somebody's making these donations in her name. This is not grassroots, people.
My credit card, and I would recognize it if it was like, oh my God.
You would see those popping up and it would be
huge. Because I would be screaming, wait a minute, I can't, no, there's no way I can afford that.
No way I can afford that. Somebody can afford it in your name, honey. Somebody can afford it in your name. Here's James O'Keefe doing the same groundwork and investigation that I hope somebody else bigger than James O'Keefe and these citizen journalists, I hope this story gets fire. It's a fresh story. A lot of people are just now talking about it, but this is a scam.
FEC data shows that some senior citizens across the U.S. have been donating thousands of times per year. Some of these individuals' names and addresses are attached to over $200,000 in contributions. We went and knocked on a few of their doors to corroborate the data that we received. We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to Act Blue, totaling $18,849.77.
Who's got that kind of money to be donating
a day, every day?
Who's got that kind of money to be donating $20,000 to a political candidate? I mean, in Biden's economy, this is crazy.
That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day for the whole year. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to Act Blue, right?
Once in a while.
So if you go and you do the research, they've all donated at least once to Act Blue. So they're real, people that really donated to Act Blue. But once they donate once, then somebody else comes along and donates many more times in their names.
My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to Act Blue, right?
Once in a while.
What about $18,850?
No, I don't think so.
You know people are using your address?
I don't think so.
So, this is a huge scandal, and it is not grassroots. It is not bottom up. It is completely top down. It's the same very wealthy forces that made Joe Biden exit the race are now dumping tons of money into Kamala Harris and doing it through single small donors to make it look like this is grassroots and that she's hugely popular now, and she absolutely is not.
In just 10 minutes on FEC.gov, they discovered startling donation patterns from supposedly unemployed individuals. Now, let's take a look at some of these numbers. 4 unemployed individuals donating a staggering $197,993.68 across, you ready for this? 23,416 separate donations. That's an average of 10 donations per day, every day, since January 1st, 2023. Does this sound like genuine grassroots support to you?
Nope.
So let's break it down. These suspicious donations. First, we have Carolyn from New Jersey, living in an apartment and listed as unemployed.
And this is all public record on FEC, as he says, on the FEC website, where you can go and you can look at this information. These people are so stupid.
Living in an apartment and listed as unemployed. She somehow managed to donate over $53,000 through 5,998 separate donations since January 1st of 23. The bulk of the donations, 36,000, went directly to ActBlue across over 4,600 transactions. But it doesn't stop there. She also made donations to various Democrat campaigns and PACs, including Bob Casey for Senate, Jeffries for Congress, and Nancy Pelosi for Congress. So how does an unemployed person living in an apartment have this kind of money to throw around?
50 grand to give to a politician.
Next we have Sandra
from
movement. California. Also unemployed and living in an average house. She donated $30,000, or just over $30,000. Ready for this? Across 66,000, almost 6,800 donations. Again, the majority went to ActBlue. Just over $19,000. Over 4,870 donations.
There's multiple examples. And again, this is just the beginning, and that's going to be a huge scandal. But I want you to understand that it's completely manufactured, that there is no grassroots movement for Kamala Harris. But that's the narrative. You start seeing multiple videos like this on TikTok, where people believe that because of all this money, $200 million that she's raised in over a week on all of these different Zoom calls, that there's this groundswell of support and all of this support for Kamala Harris. No, it's Fire Festival Coney 2012. This is not any grassroots support. Take a listen to this woman.
Yeah, I didn't say this in my video, but this is it right here. This is like the almost more incredible thing about it, that this is a massive amount of money, all in small dollar donations. Small dollar being what, less than around 2,000 or something. So these are a lot of voices adding up to say, yes, we support you. We're excited. We're on board. Let's get it. You know what I mean?
You hear?
Hard-earned Americans putting their cheddar into the pot. So
hard-working Americans, or she says hard-earned, but hard-working Americans putting their cheddar behind the candidate. That's what these people believe. That's what they got these people believe. People who went to the Fire Festival thought that was going to be the most bomb festival they've ever been to. They thought that it was going to be everything that they saw in the media as they were promoting it. They thought that this was going to be the place to be. That's what they thought, because that's what they wanted you to believe when they were promoting it online. But it wasn't true. And when people showed up to that island, then they were very disappointed because it wasn't true. And these people are going to be very disappointed because this is not grassroots. This is not true. It's fake. This is not coming from individual donors and hardworking Americans. This is coming from big donors, very big donors.
Hey,
let me show you one of these other videos.
So I need
These are all about ActBlue.
Money is
to be a.
Kamala Harris's campaign is allegedly involved in a money laundering scheme using ActBlue. There's $20 million from a Swiss billionaire, and it was broken down into $1.6 million donations across 400,000 donors. This raises some serious questions about the legitimacy of these contributions.
Absolutely. So if you go to TikTok and you just type in ActBlue, there's tons of people talking about this.
Money is pouring in for Kamala Harris.
Money pouring in.
The biggest fundraising day of the campaign for Democrats, the day that President Joe Biden announced he would be stepping aside.
Yeah, so it's all coming through ActBlue, and it's all top down, and they want to make it seem like it's that it's from individual donors, many individual donors, and this is grassroots. It's not. This is what they were saying about Kamala Harris just a few months ago in April, late April, the date on this. And this is what was being said about Kamala Harris in the media. Take a listen.
Interesting news. Recent focus groups conducted by the super PAC Republican voters against Trump found that swing voters don't like Harris. And focus groups conducted by the Democratic National Committee also found Harris rubs some people the wrong way. So, Jonah, how big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
I think she's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision of his presidency to pick her in the first place. And
Biden's worst political. This guy now, Jonah Goldberg's a Republican, but I mean, worst. But this is what they were saying about her in the media, that she was a drag on Joe Biden. The worst political choice that Joe Biden made is, I mean, this is what they were saying just a few months ago.
Arguably Biden's worst political decision of his presidency to pick her in the first place. And one of the special reasons that she's a drag is Biden's age concerns people. They worry that he can't fill a term. They worry that he's not up to the job. And so the vice president matters more than they normally do. I generally think going into the future that Democrats really should not nominate or front people who come from decidedly all blue states unless they're like once in a generation talents like Barack Obama. Because Kamala Harris does not know how to talk to the center or to the right. She only really knows how to sort of speak the language of the base of the party, and that's 34% of the election.
She doesn't have mass appeal at all. This is Bill Maher on his show just 2 weeks ago. Listen to Bill Maher.
I just want to be your guide here and tell you what the choices are. Kamala Harris, vice president, will get all of Biden's campaign money, and on the Democrats' best issue, abortion, she's a walking reminder to women that Republicans are coming for the abortion pill. She won't just protect Plan B. She is Plan B. And as a former prosecutor, Kamala was putting criminals in jail back before liberals decided that was a bad thing. And now that CVS is locking the shaving cream behind plexiglass, Democrats are coming around to her again. Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers.
He just said she's a loser.
In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And like an electric car, your MAGA uncle can't explain why she fills him with homicidal rage. She just does. Sometimes life isn't fair. It's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example.
Now they're trying to memory hole that. Now they're trying to say she wasn't put in charge of the border. But 2 weeks ago, Bill Maher seems to understand that she was put in charge of the border. But now she wasn't put in charge of the border?
Okay, bad example. Gavin Newsom is the governor of...
All right, so that was Bill Maher's take on Kamala Harris just 2 weeks ago. So now, after all these people have been saying for years that she's unpopular, that she doesn't sell to the middle of the country, that she's a San Francisco liberal, all of a sudden, it's Coney 2012 and Fire Festival, and she is the cat's meow. She is the hottest thing since sliced bread. But let's take a look at some of her rallies. This is her very first rally that she did in a high school gym in Wisconsin. Take a look. Take a look at this. I mean, there's a lot of people there. She filled it, I guess. Looks about half full, but this is a high school gym, people. This is a high school gym. I mean, people are getting shot at Trump rallies, and look at the crowd he's getting. They're killing people at Trump's rally, and people are lining up around the block. This is the rally that Trump just did in Minnesota. Look at this. People lining up around the block. This is insane. This is the overflow. These are the people that didn't get into that rally. Take a look. That's the people that didn't get in. These are the people that didn't get in to Trump's rally in Minnesota. This is grassroots. This is the people right here. Look at this. Not this. Where's that rally in the high school gym? Not this. Come on, people. Look at this. This is her rallies. Now, they want to tell you, oh, we got 40,000 people on the Zoom calls, 100,000 people on the Zoom calls. Well, where are they at? Where are they at? They're on the Zoom calls, huh? But where are they at? Look at what Trump's getting. People standing in line. This is the overflow, people. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. This is not grassroots. This is another rally that they had in Philadelphia for Kamala Harris. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is a rally that they had, or an event that they had for Kamala Harris in Philadelphia. What? I mean, what you got in there? You got 60 people? You got 60 people? Look at this. Again, this is the overflow. This is people that didn't get into the rally that Trump had in Minnesota. This is grassroots. This is the people. They're trying to gaslight you. This was what did they say this was? Look at the tweet. Wow. Look at this line of volunteer for Kamala Harris in Henderson, Nevada. So this is the volunteers. This is who showed up to volunteer. Look inside here. What do you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm counting 16 heads. Maybe there's 2 more. We'll give them 18 inside. This is what's outside. It's another 10. So you got 35 people here. This guy's wow. Wow, look at the line. You got 35 people here volunteering in Henderson, Nevada. This is not grassroots, people. This is grassroots right here. This is the people. I'm sorry. So it's really interesting that they're trying to, segregate everybody into these black, white, men, women, gay, straight little categories. And Kamala Harris is having the exact same problem with black voters that Joe Biden was having, and was probably one of the reasons that they wanted to force him out, because he was struggling with black voters. But Kamala Harris is struggling with black voters too. And that's the quiet secret about this that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that Kamala Harris is struggling with black voters. You look at this rally that she had in Wisconsin the other day. Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. Those are all white voters. White voters, white voters. You see a speck of black voters here and there, but it's all white voters. This is the black event that she did in Philadelphia. There's tons of black people here, majority black people, but there's not a lot of them. The campaign event in Henderson, not a lot of black people, not a lot of black people. So she's having the exact same problem as Joe Biden. And there was this trend going around on X, Twitter, where black women, not only black women, black men as well, were posting pictures of themselves and with statements like this. I'm a black American woman and I will not be voting for Kamala Harris. Just let's scroll through some of these. Let me show you what we got here. I'm a black American. I will not be voting for, and I will be voting for Donald Trump. I am a black American and I will be voting for Donald Trump. That's what this guy says. True black American. I will not be voting for Kamala Harris. Not voting for Kamala Harris. Let's just look at some of these. Not voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a black freeman male. Will not be voting for Kamala Harris. not be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a black man, will not be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a black American, will not be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a patriotic black American, and Kamala Harris can kiss my entire black ass. I'm voting for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. I'm a black American, and I would not be voting for cosplay woman Kamala Harris. I am a true black American. I will not be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a true foundational black woman. I will not be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a true black American man. I will not be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm a true black American woman. I would not be voting for Kamala Harris. Just look at this. I'm not going to read them all because there's so many here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this, people. Look at this. Not voting for Kamala Harris. 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 Look at this. Look at this. Oh, let's play Joy Reid here. Now, this is Joy Reid because the Boulay talented 10th blacks on TV that are supposed to herd in black voters, they're freaking out now. So they're coming out and they're trying to shame black voters into coming out for Kamala Harris, even though they say they're not voting for her. Take a listen to Joy Reid here.
Hey, fam. Okay, I just got to say it. Given the just stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris' presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee.
That's a lie.
You're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color, but really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side.
I don't know about lonely, Joy Reid. I don't know about lonely because this guy says not voting for Kamala Harris. Here's another one, not voting for Kamala Harris. I don't know about lonely, not voting for Kamala Harris, not voting for Kamala Harris, not voting for Kamala Harris. 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 I don't know about lonely, Joy Reid, because there's a lot of black voters who say they're not voting for Kamala Harris. Why don't you take a look at this clip? This is, I think, MSNBC. They were talking to some black men voters from this weekend. Take a listen.
How many of you know a black man who has expressed to you that they're committed to voting for Donald Trump? Okay. For the brothers who have told you that or said that to you, has the emergence of Kamala Harris changed that for those brothers?
No. Nope. Nope. Kamala Harris is not changing that for those black men. So this is the poll that came out, and this is the reality of what's going on. Joe Biden was bleeding black voters. And if you look at this poll from April to June, Joe Biden's support with black voters was 70%. Now you look at that and you say 70%, that's 7 in 10 black voters support Joe Biden and plan on voting for Joe Biden. 7 in 10. That's not enough. That's not enough. Joe Biden got 88% in 2020, 88%. Now this is from Kamala Harris, recent polls. She's up to 78%. That's good. She's doing better than Joe Biden. Absolutely, she's doing better than Joe Biden. She's 8 points up with black voters. But she's still 10 points down from what Joe Biden got in 2020. She's still 10 points away with black voters from what Joe Biden got in 2020. She can't win with this. She absolutely can't win with this. And this is a huge problem. And this is the unspoken problem that they're not talking about and that they're not addressing with this Coney 2012 Fire Festival propaganda that they're trying to get you to believe is grassroots. Anyway, so that's the podcast, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back on Friday. I'm really not done talking about the Trump assassination attempt. There's a lot more that has come to light, a lot more that's coming to light. So maybe we'll pick that back up on Friday. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.